There he is.
Freddie, what's up?
What's going on, Realm?
How you feeling?
Good, brother. Good, good, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Word.
I
Listen,
see.
what's up?
Oh, we got Eddie. Okay, all right. We
We
got
got some of your crew members jumping in.
yeah, Junk Magazine.
Salute
That's
Junk
that's
Magazine.
that's my man Joel. We got Eddie Knuckles in the building.
Word,
Yeah.
word. Salute to everybody. Salute to everybody, man.
All
Listen,
right.
this is the load theory, bro. We do this every single week. You know I had to bring you on. You're a graffiti legend in my eyes. We come from the same city, the Sin City, Lynn, Massachusetts. And you did your thing. You really painted the city really well, when I was coming up. So it's a pleasure to have you on, man.
Yes, sir, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, man. This is not.
Yeah, for sure, bro. So let's get it started, man. Let's take it back.
Here we go.
Um, Let me see here. The first thing I want to know is, do you remember the first time that you actually like did a tag on a public wall? Do you remember that point?
Oh, you mean like just like a hand style?
Yep, just a hand style. Like when was that first touch on the wall?
Oh, man, I can't even remember, man. That was so long ago. Like I really don't even remember that. That was yeah, because like I don't know, man. Back in the day, everybody, you know how it was coming up. Everybody had a tag. Like even before we knew what we were doing, like
Right.
in elementary school, man. Like I can remember, I as far back as I remember, really like seeing my first bit of graffiti. So I went to Hood School. You know Hood School,
Oh,
uh,
of course, yeah.
Hood Elementary School.
Hood Elementary, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there was this wall. Somebody had painted like some Beat Street looking stuff on the wall, and they actually took our whole class. I was in maybe like fourth or fifth grade, and they took
Okay.
our whole class outside, and they were like, if you know who did this, if it was any of your older brothers, then you need to tell us who did it. And I was just standing there like this, you know. And I remember just being intrigued, and it said down. It was like, you know, with the funky little arrows and stuff and bubbles and
Mm-hmm.
clouds, and it was like it was horrible. I actually found a picture of it. I have a picture of it, but I remember
Really?
that was my first memory like of graffiti, you know. And to this day, I don't know who did that. I asked around everybody. I asked all the OG Lynn cats, like as far back as I could go. I can't, but nobody knows who did it.
Well, and
But
so it was kind of a Beat Street. You said it was kind of like a Beat Street thing.
yeah, like that's the way it looked. It just says
Yeah.
down. It said the word down,
Okay.
DOWN, and then it had like the N with a little arrow kicking off
Oh,
from the
okay.
top,
Right, right, right,
and like
right,
little hazy little bubbles. You know, it was like the
right.
worst graffiti you ever seen in your life. But it was like, you know, I was in fourth or fifth grade, so I mean, I don't even remember what year that was. Like
Early '80s, huh?
yeah, like that. And so that wasn't the first time I did graffiti. I can't remember because, like, you know, after that, I remember we used to, you know, there is this one time that I remember at Roller World. Remember Roller World?
Saugus. Saugus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we used to catch ups in the bathroom at Roller World or like behind Child World. You know, we used to go back there, you know, rack markers from, you know, or like we used to get them little testers, spray cans, and then go behind Child World and tag while we was at Roller World, you know, and that type of thing. And I remember we used to go in the bathroom of Roller World and battle. There was this cat that I went to elementary school with. His name was Damon DeLutis, and
Okay.
he was trying to tell everybody that, and I can't even remember if, oh, I wasn't writing realm at the time. I was writing assault, right? That was the
Okay.
word, assault. But he was trying to tell people he was assault. And I was like, oh, he ain't assault. So I was like, all right, we're going to go in the bathroom and see who the real assault is right now. We're going to do this right now. Like, and we went in the bathroom and everybody gathered around and like, we both threw up our tags and then they started clowning. I'm, you ain't the real dude.
Oh shoot.
In
Okay.
elementary school. So I mean,
So
that's the earliest that's the earliest memory of graph that I have really. Of
wow.
me
So,
actually throwing up a tag now that I think about it.
wow. And so like elementary, you weren't even you're so young that it wasn't even like a beef. It was like let's see who the real one is and let's write it and then we'll compare Because as you get older, it's probably going to be less. It's going to be hands if you're trying to claim, you know, the same name. If you know what I'm talking about.
Was just young, man. It wasn't like
Right.
we went to the same school together and stuff. It was all like it was kid stuff, you know. It wasn't like serious like
Right.
graph beef, you know,
Right. Right.
like
Right. Right.
line
Right.
wars, you know, like what's it the dude used to say, blood wars from you know from
Right.
Wild Style, nothing like that. It wasn't no crazy like
Right. Right.
beef or nothing.
Now let me tell you, man. So growing up in Lynn, Massachusetts, you know, loving art. I was heavy in art and seeing graffiti and new to graffiti. I would always see your tags, man. You know, you were everywhere. You got up everywhere. There's one thing that I noticed though. A lot, you know, even walking through Central Square Lynn, where you were pretty prominent in Central Square Lynn. What I noticed was kind of a trend for you is that you would put up a piece or a little throw up, but you would always include some sort of hip hop quote. And so tell me, like, how much was rap music like an influence in your art?
Yeah, I was a hip hop junkie, man. Like, you know, and I always had, you know, back in the days, I always had headphones on. So, like, I would be, you know, just walking, like, I would walk down the hill. So, I grew up in the Highlands, and I would walk down the hill and then come down, you know, Essex, or not Essex Street, Union Street. And I would just be, you know, playing, you know, Gangstar or Eric B. and Rakim, or, you know, and that stuff is just rolling around in your head. And so, you know, it's just an extension. You just start throwing up tags, or you start, you know, or even while you painting a piece, whether it just be tags or a throw up or a piece, it was just literally what I was listening to at the moment, you know?
Right. I could see that influence, man. I was like, I loved it. I loved it. Even though I didn't know who you were. You were this mysterious figure. But I'm like, yo, I mess with this guy right now. You know, I love the little quotes, man.
Yo, it's crazy that it's crazy. I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
good.
when you said that mysterious figure, that's relevant, because when I was coming up in as a young cat looking at graffiti, I used to walk the tracks from you know, from like Westland to Eastland, and I used to notice pieces on there like from Temp and from Hate and C's and all these dudes, Rival, you know, all these cats that used to have pieces before I knew who any of them were. And that's what it was like. It was like they were like mythical creatures that just, you know, crawled from the rooftops and painted these beautiful burners at night, and then like disappeared into the mist. And I would just be standing there like mesmerized by it, you know, exactly how it felt. Like they were mythical superheroes, like graffiti supervillains.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. That, you know, being, you know, 15, 16-year-old me and seeing your work, that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, who is this guy? I'm seeing his name everywhere. I have no idea who he is, but he's killing it. One thing I noticed too, when you would do your pieces, how come I don't see any drips? How does he paint like this? I was like, yo, I want to learn, man. You know what I mean?
Can't control.
Facts, and you got a lot of can control, man. Shout out everybody jumping in. Shireen, I see you. Jocelyn, I see you. What up? What up? Peace, peace. So we're talking about hip hop though, and you know how it had an early influence on you when you were coming up.
Yeah.
What are your, like? You don't have to say your top five, but give me some of your favorite rap albums.
Oh man. I mean, from that era, where I mean, definitely Illmatic.
Oh,
without
100.
without a doubt, Illmatic.
Mhm.
I mean, back in the day, I used to be really into ultramagnetic MCs. You know,
Oh yeah.
Kool Keith and Said G and them.
Yep.
You know, Eric B. and Rakim.
Where and my bad to cut you, but like, were you ever in tune? Because that's early, but later on, were you ever in tune with the local hip hop scene as well?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was looking at the some of your guests, you know, and you had mentioned Sundu earlier. You
Yep.
know, um, I knew a lot of local MCs. You know, Insight, MC, Schumann and
Yeah.
Radioactive and
Yeah.
specific. I'm talking. I'm going back now. I'm going back.
Right.
All them dudes. Urge, Hagar. Hagar used to make the dope beats, right?
Hey. Yeah.
You know, there's so many to mention, particularly out of Lynn, and especially now, like there's a lot of dudes doing things that, now with ST in them, I mean, it's
Shout out ST man.
yeah, shout out ST, no doubt.
Absolutely. No, so you were hip. You were hip.
No
Jog your
doubt.
memory a little bit, man. Tell me kind of like where was like the craziest place you ever bombed? Like give me a wild story, man.
Okay, I got a lot of wild stories, man.
Okay.
Um, so like I don't know if the wild stories and the craziest place I ever bombed go hand in hand,
Well, yeah, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to say, go for it, brother.
but okay, so we were on the train tracks one night with my boy Tease, and but I'm sure a lot of people in the live know who Tease is, and Tease, he passed away back in 2005, I believe it. Where it was just his birthday the other day.
Rest in
And
peace.
the crew had a memorial for him in Beverly, and the pieces are still running right now. They just had a memorial for him. I just wanted to mention that. And I wasn't able to make it. I'm all the way down here in North Carolina, but the crew represented and held down Tease. And anyway, so it was me and it was Tease and T'Chug. I don't know if you know of T'Chug or heard of his
Nah.
name, but he was from France. And so we were painting in Dorchester. There was a layup in Dorchester, and we were painting a freight. And I don't know. I remember it was cold out and there was snow on the ground, and we're painting this freight, like just standing in a snow, like a snow drift, And we heard these shots, pop, 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 pop. Now, mind you, there was a drug house, probably like, I don't know, maybe like 100 yards down the tracks, where fiends were going in and out and do drugs in there, and it was kind of a real active little like abandoned drug house, And so we heard pop, 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 like maybe 4 or 5 shots, and we stopped and we froze and we just kind of waited for a sec like this, right? Because when something like that happens and you're on the train tracks, like you don't know if it's the police, you don't know if it's somebody that just got murdered. You don't know if they're coming to run after you next, or if they're going to be running away from the cops, running by you with the gun that they just killed somebody. You don't know what's going on. So we just froze. And then like maybe about 10 seconds later, we heard, it was the police that we heard reported shots fired, right? So now I'm worried that maybe the cops are going to think that it was us that shot at them, right?
Right.
So Tease, he runs right up the tracks. He's gone. But I didn't want to run because I'm afraid that if I run, the cop's gonna shoot me in my back or something, or think that we're the ones that were shooting at them, right?
Right.
So T'Chug, he's from France. He don't know he's looking at, like, should we jet? What should we do? So I ended up diving underneath the freight train. When I dove under the freight train, I hit my head on a piece of metal and started leaking. Right, I'm bleeding, and like I don't know if you've ever been under a freight train, but
Nah, I mean I've been right side by side, but never under, man.
under the freight train there's this little metal bar, and that's kind of like, I guess that's like the thing that I don't know what they call it, but it was just this little metal bar, and if you try hard enough, you can actually squeeze your body between that metal bar and the bottom of the freight and have your whole body lifted up off the ground, right? You can do that because I learned that night.
That's crazy. Okay.
And then T'Chug, he does the same thing, right? His name is Francois. Shout out to Francois. He does the same thing. He shoves his body up underneath that pole and whatnot, And so the cops actually came and they started shining their lights. Now, mind you, my blood is all in because there was snow on the ground, so my blood is there. I'm thinking that's it. We're caught. That's it. We're caught. There ain't no way that they're not gonna, because our paint. So we didn't have time to clean up our paint. Our paint is laying there. There's fresh paint all over the train. So I'm thinking that's it. Like, we're going to jail tonight. But they shined their light under the freight, and then they walked away.
Because
so
you were elevated.
So we stayed there long enough for the blood to freeze to my face, and finally, like, yeah, like I had all this blood frozen on my face, and so finally we're like, all right, let's get out of here. So we started to go back to where the car was parked at, and it was parked right out on the street. But we had to walk through the yellow tape because apparently somebody got shot. I still don't know who got shot or what happened or nothing like that, but there was yellow tape all taped off, and we had to walk through the yellow tape to get to where my car was because my car was taped off, right?
With blood just stuck to your face.
Well, because Francois was like, yo, you got blood in your face. So I started picking up the snow and just cleaning the blood off my face.
Right.
So I jumped in the car and I started it up, and when and he's like, 'cause now mind you, they have my car inside the yellow tape line. The police do not cross.
Oh,
so
this is crazy.
So I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. So I started up the whip, and then like there was somebody keeps texting me, man. So I started up the whip, and I drove right up to the police yellow line, and then I motioned for the cop to like lift it up so I could, because there was a dude, the cops just standing there like kind of like guarding the scene, and so he was like, where you coming from? And I was like, I'm coming from my friend's house. And he's like, where? And I'm like, over there. And I just pointed at some random house, and I'm like, come on, man, come on. Like, I motioned for him to be like, hurry up, and he was just like, he looked a little confused, and then he just lifted the tape up and we drove away.
Whoa. You listen, even though you guys didn't do what the cops were like looking for, it could have been something, man, because you were out there, doing your work. Wow.
And maybe Tease got arrested too. I was afraid that Tease, but what happened with him was he ran all the way home. He ran all the way from Dorchester to Mission Hill.
He was putting in miles.
And he got home before we did. When we got back there, Tease was sitting there with his feet up eating a sandwich.
Yo.
Said, "No, you got arrested." He was like, "What? Oh, you got arrested?"
Yo, that's crazy, dude. Yo. That's crazy. Wow.
Tease was still with us, man. Tease was one of the best.
Rest in peace for sure, man. That's a wild story, man. Thank you for sharing that, bro. I'm sure a lot of people will be like, wow. But yeah, damn. I know you got a lot more crazy stories, but I want to ask you specifically, coming from, hip hop, graffiti, you want to be original, you want to be unique. So how would you describe your style?
My style has been what's the term? They termed it, there was a term that they coined a term.
Okay.
And they called it the North Shore Liquid Swords. That's what they call it.
The North Shore
Swords.
I can see that.
To Mello called it North Shore Liquid Swords. Yeah.
I love that.
Like it's aggressive, Yeah.
Because
and you know how it is growing up in Lynn. Everything in Lynn, like Lynn is an aggressive place. So I mean, really, and it's not just me. It's not that I came up with the style. Like I took elements from people who I grew up looking at, and we were talking about earlier, particularly Temp,
right.
And Hate,
right.
and C's, and these old school writers. Like that's what I grew up looking at. So back in the day, we had a lot more of a local tradition because we didn't have internet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now with the internet, a dude could come out of Montana and his style could be just like somebody in LA. because everybody's looking at everything. So he could decide, oh, I like that style, and that's what he's gonna emulate his style off of. But like all
Right.
we had coming up was our local legends, you know,
Right.
and the dudes before us who blazed those trails, you know. And then um, I was able to become that for the younger generation, you know, growing up, where they were able to see what I was doing. And I don't look at, now, whenever I look at somebody younger than me whose style, that there's similar traits about their style. I mean, there's a lot of dudes out there, Mellow, Venom. I don't have to mention them all, but I mean, and when I look at their styles, I don't say, oh man, look at these cats biting me. I don't say that, you know, because it's all tradition. It's all, you know,
Inspiration.
yeah, we inspire one another,
Right.
you know, and so the
Right.
same dudes that inspired me, I was able to turn around and inspire a newer generation.
Exactly.
It's
So,
all love, all respect.
right. I like that. I love that, man, because it's true. The younger cats might look at something you did, might be like, wow, look at the way he did his E. That E's crazy. So they might pick that up and put it in theirs, but also implement their own style as well. So I like that, man.
E is my favorite letter, by the way.
Oh, where I didn't know that. Your E's are dope.
Yeah, on that, you say you could have picked any letter.
Now, you know, we were talking about freight trains. You were talking about how you were hiding, but do you feel like bombing freight trains is probably the best way to get your name known? Just because when you hit a freight train, it's going across the country. Your name is not just local; it's across the United States. Do you feel like that's the best outlet?
Yeah, I mean, freights were kind of a natural progression, right? After the trains, you know, after the subways died out, you know, and really Boston never really had much of a subway scene anyway, because, you know, for whatever reason, I mean, like the subways kind of already died out. New York City had a crazy subway, you know, graffiti scene, you know, but Boston really never had that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are people who painted trains for sure in Boston, but like, you know, when I came on the scene, so I really didn't get serious about painting graffiti until like the early '90s. You know, I started writing in the late '80s, but like I started getting good, you know, 91, 92, 93, right? But before that, you know, 88, 89, 90, you know, I was still kind of feeling things out and like developing style, and we was painting under bridges and just
Right.
where find a spot to paint, you know what I mean? But it wasn't until I would say probably about maybe like 90. Nah, I started hitting freights in maybe like 91. We had a little freight spot right there across from
From Shaw's.
yeah, but it used to be Star Market.
Yeah, Star Market. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Trust me.
that little
Yep.
the hoppers right there, the gray hoppers.
Yep.
And that was really, those were the first freights that I ever painted, was in that spot.
Yeah, it was a great spot. I don't want to give too much, you know, GPS on it, but it was a great spot because the freights would kind of stay still in that spot. So you can go there and kind of capitalize on it.
Yeah. I mean, you can actually see that spot from the street, so it ain't like we're blowing up the spot. You know, like you could actually look from the parking lot and be like, oh, look, there's freights right there.
Exactly.
That's how we found it. You know what I mean? But yeah. That was the first freight spot that I started hitting. But I got pretty heavy into freights, particularly when I started painting with Sick 156, and he started.
Woo. Before we talk about that, I gotta cut you off. Before we talk about Sick 156, tell me about this right here, man. Tell me about this book right here, man.
Yes, sir. Freight Train Graffiti. Your boy's in there.
Listen. Let's talk about it. There it is right there for y'all to see it.
Boom.
RELM Sick 156 on the freight.
Yes. So we actually painted that in Springfield, Mass. Yep. And so at the time I didn't have a car, and Sick had the whip, you know. So he used to take me out to all these different freight spots all around the state, you know.
Okay.
Yep.
Sick is older than you? Is he an OG? Like he's older than you, or you guys are around the same age?
about the same age. He's maybe a few years older, but he definitely he was from out. He was from I think Brookline.
Okay,
He
okay.
was he was from Brookline, but like, you know, he knew some writers I didn't know. You know, I came from Lynn, and so I knew all the Lynn writers, but he knew more New York writers and more Boston writers and so on and so forth at the time.
I feel like I saw him, like some pieces in New York from him early on.
Yeah, Sick was pretty he was pretty active, and I don't really see much that he's doing anymore, but he was pretty active back then in the 90s, and he took me around to a lot of freight spots. So we started crushing freights, man. We started crushing them like crazy. Big Realm, best in the business. Haha, Riz, what's up? Sure.
So tell me about that piece with you and Sick though. You said it was in Springfield?
In Springfield, Mass. Yep. We used to go out there and hook up with the SSC crew, Risk and Simon and them dudes. Shout out to all them cats out there in Springfield. Yep. We used to go out there and meet up with them and paint freights. I mean, it was just a big freight yard out there. I don't know much about it, except for like miles of freights when you went out there. Like we didn't have that in Lynn. We had that one little layup, you know what I mean? And then we got out there and we just started smashing freights. And then of course, at that same freight yard that I was just talking about with Tees, that was our best kept little secret, because that was just a few freights. Nobody really knew about this spot. It was right in the city in Dorchester. It wasn't like a big freight yard, but it would always, the trains would pull in, we would paint them, and they would pull out. They'd pull in, we would paint them. So it was like a production line. We were painting crazy freights in that yard, and nobody know about that yard. Like, especially Tees was so secretive about that yard. He wouldn't let nobody. He would be like, "Don't bring nobody here unless they're crew," And I'd be like, "All right." Because you start letting the young kids know about the yard, they'll blow up the spot. They'll start leaving trash around. They'll start walls and stuff, making heat. So we would keep the freight yard real chill, so that way we could always have a place to paint.
Wow, interesting for the new graffiti artists. So that's a little pro tip: clean up your mess.
Don't blow up the spot.
Facts, man. Shout out everybody jumping on. I see you guys, man. Shout out KT, Killer Tactics in the building. Scott, what up?
Yes, sir.
Listen, KT's a rap legend in Cambridge, man. You know about him? He was on the Low Theory as well.
Yes, sir. Shout out to KT.
All right. You talked about the freights. You talked about the new generation, the generation you.
Yo, shout out to Abuse, by the way. Big up Abuse. Yeah. We good.
Abuse. Okay. Sorry about that. I just got an incoming call. Shout out Abuse. I see you. How do you like? Because you're still, I want to talk about what you're doing now, but I see you still kind of doing things. How do you find that rush? How do you find that feeling? When you first started, hitting the streets, like, because you're older now. Like, how do you find that motivation to go out in the street and do this still?
Well, I do. I don't do as much illegal things now as I used to do when I was younger. Like when I was young, I was a Tasmanian devil. I was wild.
Right.
But now I have 5 kids. I have a business. I got a lot more to lose now. But we're not going to talk about any illegal activities on the IG Live.
Of course.
What I do now is, I find abandoned buildings, where people may or may not care about, usually I find a building that's just been trashed already, and then I'll just come and beautify it.
Right.
Right. And, maybe there was permission, or maybe there wasn't, like that. But, I don't go out anymore and like crush the streets and do all like types of illegal,
there's more risk right now at this point in your life.
Well, it's just, yeah. But I mean, I still get amped about it though. I still get amped about it. It's just, I mean, look, back in the day, when you're in a kind of a crazy place in your life. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing to just go out there and crush the streets, right? Because that's expression. But you know, when you have things going on in your life, you know, yeah, you know, you direct your energies a little bit. But I'm still in a creative place, though. You know, I run a graphic design company. We do vehicle wraps and all that type of stuff. So, and I'm still able to incorporate everything that I learned from graffiti, like artistically and aesthetically. I'm able to apply it to what I do now. You know?
Right.
Which is
Right. And that's what I was gonna say. So you've turned this what was once an illegal art form to something positive, and now it generates income.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
I always knew I was gonna do something like that. I didn't know how. I didn't really know how I was gonna pull it off, but like, and I had no idea. I was doing tattoos for a while, but I stopped doing tattoos, and then I jumped more into the, you know, graphic arts, graphic design, you know, more of like commercial business, marketing and branding and printing, that type of thing. There's more money to be made for me anyway. That was my path. Eventually, that's where it led me.
Right. For sure, for sure. Now listen, man, on the low theory, we keep it short, sweet, and concise. I feel like we could be talking for hours, man, because you know,
I'm here for it, bro.
I know. We usually keep it about 30 minutes though on the low theory. We got about 5 more minutes. You know, we went to the same high school, which you had no idea about because we talked earlier.
Well, I graduated for you. So
you did.
Yeah, I graduated in '93.
Yeah. We graduated in different times. I graduated in 2000, but I knew you went there, and I told you why.
Right.
And we met people there. So one thing I want to talk about before we leave, man, and for those who are coming up in Massachusetts, Lynn, everywhere in Mass, you know, I told you, like, I would always see your piece, and then I would always see a Dismo piece. What's this correlation? Tell me about this Dismo RELM, you know, superhero duo.
So Dismo, my man, we grew up. I was telling you earlier. We met in 9th grade, and at Lynn Tech, and so something that a lot of people might not know about Dismo is that his cousin also wrote Dismo, right? And so his cousin passed off the name to him. So when I met him, you know, he told me what he wrote, and I was like, you don't write Dismo. Like, how does Dismo? He's my age, you know?
Right.
So
he's like 16.
Yeah, like, cause you know, Dismo was already a big name in the streets. I was like, how is this dude already like that, you know? So I thought he was lying, you know, but it turns out that his cousin was the one who was in the streets. You know, he was right. So Dismo was writing with Hate and Temp and Seize and Avoid. Shout out to Sean Mooney, by the way. He's another one of our fallen soldiers, you know, who died too early. Or shout out to him. And yeah, man, there was so many of them, but not Dismo. So I lost my train of thought, man.
So you were basically saying how, you know, you confronted him like, yo, you don't write that, but then he told you. So he ended up telling you about his cousin.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we came up in the game together, you know, just kind of learning things, and you know, we didn't really know much. All we knew is we just wanted to be a part of this thing, you know. And we used to actually, so after school, we used to go and walk. So he lived in West Lynn, and we used to go walk up to his house, and we used to just draw in our black books, you know, and then like get our hands on some paint, you know, and go walk here, walk there, down to the tracks, up to the like the water tower, or we had a place called, it was the Dike. Like we called it the Dike, and it was like this long wall. We used to go up there and paint wherever we could paint. We used to just jump on missions. We used to skip school and on the 426 bus, get off at Haymarket.
Yo, 426.
Yo, and we would like take the train to Cambridge and be there at the trestles, you know, rocking pieces, you know, while we were supposed to be in school, you know, but it was all a part of it, man. I mean, just that's a part of growing up. So yeah, me and Dismal, we was partners for you know, all throughout our high school years. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, for sure. You guys definitely killed the city, man. Both you guys. I told you earlier, man, I really thought that you used to write Dismo. I didn't know who did what. I was like, maybe he just has an alias and he writes Dismo as well. I had no idea, man. But obviously, as I got older, I learned he was an actual person.
Style Assassins, baby.
Yeah, the Style Assassins. What other crew? You down with BLT, right?
Yeah, BLT. Yep, no doubt.
What?
TFL. I'm also down with TFL, which is the Funky Lords, which is actually a crew out of the Bay Area in California. I'm down with a lot of crews, man. But throughout the years, like I push mostly the crews of people that I keep in contact with, paint with, and you know, but BLT, no doubt. Style Assassins, you know, 594, still, you know. Are you familiar with 594 crew, FNF?
Nah, I'm not. Who's part of it?
Yeah. There's still a lot of active writers. Bastard and Baya and Quism.
What
You know
about what about Ankh and Monk?
Ankh is there's Ankh right there.
Who? Where? Which one?
Junk Magazine right there. That's Ankh.
Oh, Ankh is junk back. Oh, shout out Ankh, man.
He
God,
said Realm bailed me out of jail, and the cops gave him my food.
that's hilarious, yo. Because Ankh and Monk, I used to see their pieces around a lot too, man. Shout out.
Yeah. Ankh is my man. Ankh is my man. Monk, I don't know what happened to him, man. He you know, I don't know where he's at these days.
Okay. I see that. Let me get to a couple people
Man,
here.
huh?
Oh, I see Star just joined, man. Right when we're about to end it, Star, you had to jump in right now.
Star Boogie. Rahmatullah.
Star Boogie in the building, man. Listen, a couple things. Let me get to the people, and then I'm gonna let you go. It says here, did you ever include any hidden Easter eggs in your pieces?
Probably, yeah. No, most definitely, I did. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you
Like,
know, you always shout out your people, and like you were mentioning earlier about the hip hop quotes.
right.
You know, you know, for me, it was always about the letter structure and the style. At the end of the day, it's always, I mean, you can camouflage your piece with all types of dope, you know, colors and fillings and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if your letter structure is whack, then your piece is whack. That's the school of graffiti I come from, you know. And
Mastering the alphabet.
yeah. If your letter structure is whack, then your piece is whack. I don't care how clean you can paint. If your letters are booty, then your piece is booty.
Facts. Somebody else said, Realm, tell us how you got up above the cell. How did you get the marker in past Nancy O?
Oh man, I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, we could pass on that one. Let's see here. Let's see. Talk about the bail from Johnny's ma.
Oh, that was a crazy night. I don't know if we have time for that story.
Okay.
That was probably even crazier than the last one, bro. That was, yeah. I got maced that night. I got beat up by the cops. Beat me over the head with a one of them big cop flashlights. Man, we was in the combat zone, and then I'll just tell the story real briefly without all the details. I end up in jail, and I gave the police a fake name, and what happened was Johnny's mom came to bail him out, but she thought that so when they asked the name, they gave her the name, and she thought that was Johnny giving the fake name. So when she bailed me out, I came out and I didn't recognize her, like I didn't know her, right? And she just looked at me, and I looked at her, and we both looked at each other like this, and she was like, "Come on." And then I walked with her, and she's like, "What the hell are you?" She just bailed me out of jail. And then I went to her house, and I ended up staying at her house for like the whole weekend, just chilling out with
That's
my.
crazy. Listen, we might have to do a part two, bro. I need to hear these stories in detail. But
Yo, that
okay,
was me. I'm real chill. I'm real good. I'm real cool. I'm a dad now. You know what I mean? That was the
right,
whole.
right, right. Of course, man. My the fan, my cousin Da, he just asked, "What's the highest spot you ever hit?"
Oh wait, hold on a second. He said that. He said that was me. Did I get the story mixed up? Tech said that was me. Yo, the '90s were a blur. Tech, my bad. The '90s were a whole blur. You know what I mean? My brain, I left half my brain in the '90s. So forgive me on Tech. Not Johnny got out. Tech, yeah, my bad. Okay, I messed the
There you
story.
go. Tech, thank you for the correction, man. So what before I let you go, two things. So what was the highest spot you ever hit? That was from Da, and then tell everybody where they can follow you.
Okay, you can follow me on RELM ONE _ Dawood, DAWOOD.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep, RELM _
So so you're saying you're afraid of heights?
Me.
Yeah. What's the highest spot you ever hit?
I don't remember, but I do remember this one high. I do remember this one high billboard that I climbed up.
Oh.
It was on. It was right there by Fenway. You know when you're at Kenmore and then you go over that little bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the tallest, most prestigious billboard that you can see on the highway right there. So when you go over that little bridge, right before you take that left to go down Lansdowne Street, if you look to the right, there's that big billboard.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I
Yep.
actually climbed that. I actually climbed that billboard. I was with a girl. And like we were out on a date, and I was like, "Yo, you want to go hit that billboard?" And she was like, yeah. And so like me and her climbed and we scaled the billboard and we just went up there and I tagged up. Actually, no, I did a whole straight letter piece up there. It wasn't just like it wasn't just like tags. I went up there and just like rocked a whole dead letter piece up there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
If anyone out there has flicks, send me those flicks. I never got flicks of that.
Word. Yo, Realm, man, listen, it was a pleasure chopping it up with you.
Yeah, man.
I love all the stories. I love all the history. That's what I'm here for. I might have to bring you on again, man.
No doubt. But listen, the stories and the history are all true, except for I might mix the names up.
Yeah. Of course. Of
You
course. I get you, man. It's been a long time. Man.
Yeah,
Somebody said in here too, it's okay to say things because right now we're at the point statute of limitations, so we're good. We can talk about,
statute of limitations over, man.
Right. Exactly. Realm, man, it was a pleasure, brother. I know that you're doing positive things now. You have the business, you have the family. Continue doing that. I wish you much success, bro. And I might have to hit you up so we can do another one.
Yeah, I'm down. This was fun, man, and I appreciate you having on me here. This was dope, and much blessings to you and your family.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely, brother. I'll let you go, man. Enjoy the rest of your night. All right.
All right, you too. Peace.
All right.